PCBWay Collab Instax adapter for vintage Kodak instant cameras. Today on Radio Boat Anchor, I'm going to do something a little different. Another interest of mine is film photography. Unfortunately, they no longer make film for my vintage 1982 Kodak Kodamatic Placer II instant camera. The Kodak Kodamatic Placer II is a vintage instant camera introduced around 1982 as a successor to the original Placer. It features a simple plastic design, a high-quality lens, electronic exposure control, and used HS-144-10 Kodamatic film. It was designed for simple, automatic instant photography. In 1976, Polaroid sued Kodak for infringing its instant camera patents, resulting in a long legal battle. A 1985 ruling against Kodak forced them out of the instant photo market and the discontinuation of film for the 1982 Kodak Placer II instant camera. A missing nameplate on a vintage Kodak instant camera is extremely common and typically indicates that the original owner sent the trim piece to Kodak for a refund voucher after the company lost a patent lawsuit to Polaroid in 1985. The good news is that currently available Fujifilm's Instax Square film uses the same instant developing technology as the discontinued Kodak instant film. The problem is that the dimensions of the Fujifilm Instax Square film have different dimensions than the old Kodak instant film. That's where the 3D print open source Instax adapter for vintage Kodak instant cameras comes in. The Instax adapter allows you to use Fujifilm Instax Square instant film in a vintage Kodak instant camera, such as my Kodak Placer II and other crank injection cameras of the era like the Handle, Handle 2, or Placer camera. It will not work reliably with the more compact Kodak EK4 or auto ejection cameras like the Colorburst 250. The credit for the Instax adapter used with my vintage Kodak instant camera goes to Josh Gladstone. I will include a link to his YouTube channel in the description. Well, my new 3D printer has been buried under boxes for 2 years. In a serendipitous moment, Evan Young, part of the PCBWay overseas marketing team, reached out to me offering me a collaboration with a $150 project budget for any services PCBWay provides, including printed circuit board design and layout, CNC 3D printing, enclosure design, and software firmware development. I have used PCBWay printed circuit board fabrication services in the past and was impressed with the results. Ordering was simple. I uploaded Gerber and NC files for open source projects such as the Coco EEPROM pack, RadioShack TRS-80 computer multi-cart cartridge, the Commodore 64 computer PLA replacement and multi-cart cartridge, and finally the Texas Instrument TI-99A 4A computer VersaCart multi-cart cartridge. This time I was going to try their 3D printing services. I received a quote for each 3D printed part within 24 hours of when the STL files were uploaded. The price of the 3D printed parts plus shipping were covered under my PCBWay collaboration service budget, so no charge for me. Here are a few other instant cameras in my collection. My vintage 1979 Kodak Colorburst 250 that used Kodak PR-144-10 color instant film, which is no longer made due to the Polaroid lawsuit. My 1977 Polaroid One Step that uses Polaroid 600 color instant film, which is still available. And my recently purchased Lomo Instant Square Glass Camera Pigalle Edition, which uses readily available Fujifilm Instax Square Instant Color Film. The Fujifilm Instax Square Instant Color Film is the one we are making a converter for, so that it can be used in the 1982 Kodak Kodamatic Placer II and other discontinued Kodak instant cameras. 3D print unboxing. My 3D prints arrived from PCBWay via China, approximately 2 weeks after my collaborative project was approved by PCBWay. I ordered duplicate parts in case any broke during assembly. This section was sped up for brevity. Spring backplate adapter assembly. Here was my filming setup during the assembly process. The rulers are there to remind me of the filming area. Josh Gladstone, the designer of the Instax adapter, recommended this spring set from Amazon. 1.6 by 7 by 10 mm 6-lap spring located in this location was cut in two to make the required springs for the spring back plate assembly. The two cut springs were installed on the main piece, then the inserts were installed. Instax adapter assembly. 1.6 by 7 by 20 mm 10-lap spring from the spring set located in this position was required. It was elongated from 20 mm to 35 mm by stretching it. The picker arm adapter required some sanding and cutting in order to remove the remaining support remnants so that it would move smoothly in the Instax adapter channel. Test fitting. I loaded a previously used Fujifilm Instax Square film cartridge with exposed film. Then the original blank. The previously used Fujifilm Instax Square film cartridge was installed into the Instax adapter. I pulled down on the camera back latch to the open position, then lowered the back. The loaded Instax adapter was then installed into the film compartment. Then the spring back plate adapter was installed into the Fujifilm's Instax Square film slots. Raise the back of the camera. Finally, the camera back latch was raised back to the closed position. It is important to install the battery, otherwise the shutter will not fire. The battery access door is located on the underside of the camera. The Kodak Pleaser 2 camera requires a 6-volt J battery available from Amazon. The battery access door was then closed. Adapter testing. I used a piece of copper to reinforce the finger of the picker arm adapter that pushes the film out of the cartridge. It was superglued in place to the picker arm adapter. Here is a close-up. I loaded a previously used Fujifilm Instax Square film cartridge with cover and exposed film. Initial testing proved that the Instax adapter with the spring backplate adapter assembly only ejected the cover and several of the top photos. I discovered that the springs in the spring back plate adapter assembly didn't provide enough tension. They were replaced with full-length 0.6x7 by 10mm 6-lap springs located in this location. The second test was successful. The spring back plate adapter assembly with new springs provided enough tension for all film in the Instax cartridge to be properly ejected. Adapter use. It was time to install new unexposed Fujifilm Instax square film into my Kodak Pleaser 2 camera using the Instax adapter. The black cardstock needs to be ejected before pictures can be taken. The first picture taken was a selfie in the mirror. It takes a few minutes for the instant film to develop. The white areas at the top of the photo are caused by insufficient roller pressure. After a photo is taken, the exposed film is passed through 2 rollers that break open blister packs of developer chemicals and should evenly distribute. The Kodak Pleaser 2 instant camera has a dial that allows you to lighten or darken the photos. Although I didn't see much difference in the lightened picture to the left. Time for some outdoor pictures. The sky was still gray after a thunderstorm just moved out. Here are some of the better photos I took with my Kodak Pleaser 2 instant camera. You get 10 exposures per Fujifilm Instax square cartridge. Conclusion. I would like to thank PCBWay for the collaboration opportunity and providing the 3D printed parts free of charge used in the Instax adapter. As mentioned, PCBWay offers a variety of services including printed circuit board design and layout, CNC and 3D printing, enclosure design, and software firmware development. Although the pictures used in the Instax adapter were not perfect, it was truly gratifying to give new life to my vintage Kodak Pleaser 2 instant camera. Please like this post and subscribe to Radio Boat Anchor so that you're alerted to my future posts. Thank you.